Have you ever wondered what it's like to live your whole life without ever knowing freedom? To be trapped, neglected, and ignored for years with no one to hear your cries for help? This is the story of Kitty, a Saint Bernard who spent 8 long years chained to a tree, with no escape from the harsh conditions that surrounded her. What happened to her might break your heart. Stay with us in Pets in Love as we share how Kitty's life was transformed, thanks to people like you. Kitty is a Saint Bernard, and for 8 long years, she knew nothing of freedom. She was bought as a puppy, a decision that would shape the course of her life in the most tragic way. The place where she spent those years was desolate, a forgotten corner of land with no one to care for her. No one, except for her chain and her owner, who didn't even look at her unless it was to force her into another litter of puppies. For those 8 years, Kitty was chained to a tree, unable to move freely or live as a dog should. Her owner didn't see her as a living being. She was just a tool, a breeding machine. It didn't matter that the land was a swamp in the rainy season or a baking desert in the summer. It didn't matter that she was too sick, too weak, and too exhausted to make noise. She would try to bark, but she couldn't. She had developed a severe cough that made her voice hoarse. The sadness in her eyes was unbearable, a silent plea for help. She had lost all hope, but somehow her cries reached someone. The neighbors, who had noticed the desperation in her barks, contacted the authorities. And so, the rescue mission began. It's hard to describe the feeling of witnessing such neglect firsthand. The rescuer arrived at the property, and there she was, chained to that tree, barely recognizable as a living being. Her body was thin, skin and bones, hidden beneath a matted coat that hadn't been brushed in who knows how long. There were ticks all over her, and her ears were so badly inflamed. But perhaps the most heartbreaking thing was her spirit. There was so much sorrow in her eyes, so much pain, as if she had given up on life. The rescue was quick. Her owner, when confronted, acted indifferent. He didn't care. He thought he could demand more money for this poor dog he had neglected for years. But when the rescuer insisted on taking her, he didn't resist. It was as though he knew that Kitty was nothing more than a commodity to him. He let her go, and they rushed her to the car, not knowing what would happen next. Kitty had never been in a car before. She was confused, scared, and exhausted. She was taken to the Madeira Veterinary Hospital. The vet team quickly assessed her condition, and their concern was immediate. As the vet carefully examined her, it became evident that Kitty was suffering from more than just malnutrition. She had a fever, a sign of infection, and the doctors soon discovered she was suffering from filariasis, a serious heartworm condition. Her body had endured a lot, and it was going to take time, patience, and a lot of care to help her heal. Heartworms too? The rescuer sighed. That's just too much for one dog to carry. The vet nodded, looking serious. We'll start treatment right away. It won't be easy, but we'll get her through this. It was hard to touch her. The rescuer's hands trembled as they gently held Kitty, knowing that every inch of her body had been neglected for so long. But despite her obvious pain and confusion, Kitty didn't resist. She seemed to know somehow that this was the beginning of something different. The vet began to shave her fur, which was matted and dirty, to get a closer look at her skin. As the shaving continued, revealing sores and marks from the years of neglect, the rescuer gently stroked Kitty's head. "You're safe now, sweet girl," they whispered. "We're going to fix this, I promise." Kitty, looking so fragile, seemed to relax a little under the gentle touch. Her eyes, which had been filled with confusion and fear, began to soften. The vet kept working, moving methodically, and eventually, the worst of the ticks and grime were gone. When it was time for Kitty to eat, the rescuer couldn't help but feel a deep sadness as they watched her devour the food. She ate like she hadn't seen a proper meal in ages, which of course she hadn't. And the day wore on. Kitty was given fluids and medication to stabilize her. Her exhaustion, from both the years of neglect and the shock of the changes, was clear. But she had moments of peace. When it was time for her to rest, Kitty was placed on a soft, clean bed, away from the harsh, unforgiving ground she had known for so long. The rescuer stayed by her side, gently stroking her head. "Sleep well, girl," they whispered softly. For the first time in 8 years, Kitty was able to rest in comfort, surrounded by love. She slept deeply, her breathing soft and steady, comforted finally by warmth and care. It was a long road ahead, but the first steps had been taken. Kitty was no longer just a forgotten dog, chained to a tree. The rescuer will never forget the moment when Kitty finally received a warm bath. The matted fur came off in clumps, revealing sores, ticks, and deep marks left by years of neglect. But Kitty was calm through it all, perhaps because for the first time she was being treated with love and care. She soaked in the water, and with each passing second, it was as though a weight was being lifted off her. She was treated for malnutrition and began to slowly gain weight. Her ribs were visible, but with the right care, she started to change. And then, the sweetest moment came. After so many years of loneliness and neglect, Kitty found peace in the simplest things: touch, affection, and a warm, soft bed. As Kitty's health began to improve, the rescuer found themselves facing a new challenge: financial hardship. The care Kitty required was extensive, and the bills were piling up fast. Treatments for her heartworms, infections, and malnutrition were urgent but costly. The vet had been doing their best to help, but with each passing day, the expenses grew higher. The rescuer's heart sank every time they looked at the mounting invoices, knowing that without help, Kitty's treatment could soon come to a halt. One evening, while going over the latest bill, a message popped up on the phone from the vet clinic. "Can you please give us a call when you get a chance? We need to discuss Kitty's treatment plan." The rescuer dialed the number immediately. "We've been doing everything we can for Kitty," the vet explained, "but her treatments are expensive, and at this point, we're running into financial limits. We can't stop her care, but we need to talk about how to proceed." The rescuer closed their eyes for a moment. "I'll do everything I can." That night, the rescuer made the decision to share Kitty's story. They contacted the local news station, who had already shown interest in covering her rescue, and explained the situation. The reporter agreed to air another segment, this time focusing on the financial need to continue Kitty's life-saving treatments. The next evening, the story aired on local television. The camera zoomed in on Kitty, now noticeably brighter and more alert, though still fragile. The reporter narrated her journey, how she had been chained for 8 long years, neglected and abandoned, until she was rescued and brought to the veterinary hospital. The segment also explained the rescuer's financial struggle to continue Kitty's treatment. The rescuer sat back, anxiously awaiting the response. Within minutes of the broadcast, phone calls began to pour in. Emails and messages flooded in from viewers moved by Kitty's story. Donations, both large and small, began to appear. Strangers from all over reached out, eager to help. In just a few days, the donations added up, enough to cover Kitty's ongoing medical expenses. The rescuer could hardly believe the generosity that had poured in. Kitty's care would continue, and for the first time in weeks, the rescuer felt a sense of relief. Kitty would receive the treatment she needed. A few days later, the vet reported that Kitty's fever had broken, and she was eating better. She was still weak, but signs of improvement were visible. Kitty's story had not only captured the hearts of the community, but had also provided her the chance at a full recovery. The rescuer felt immense gratitude for the kindness of those who had donated, and the support they had received was a reminder of how powerful compassion could be. Kitty's recovery wasn't quick. There were many more visits to the vet, many more treatments, and lots of care. But the progress was real, and Kitty was now healthier than ever. She now can take a new step, having a forever family. It does not take a long time. 1 week after the post from the rescuer, the best news of all came. Kitty was adopted by an incredible family. They gave her the home she deserved, the comfort she had never known, and the love she had longed for. The transformation was nothing short of a miracle. Kitty, who had spent 8 years chained, was now living her best life, surrounded by a family who adored her. Her first walk with her new jacket, her first cuddle on the couch, these were the moments that everyone had hoped for when they first saw her in that miserable state. The rescue of Kitty became a symbol of what love and compassion can do. She had endured so much, but with the help of a community, she was able to experience what it meant to be a beloved pet. And in the end, that's what matters, giving every animal the chance to live with dignity, love, and respect. If Kitty's story touched your heart, we invite you to join us in helping more animals like her. Every small act of kindness matters. Would you consider contributing to the cause or spreading the word? Thank you for being part of this journey. If you find our video interesting, please give it a big thumbs up and share it with others. Finally, don't forget to turn on our bell and subscribe to our channel Pets in Love so you don't miss any of our new videos. Thank you for your support. Wishing you all peace, happiness. Take care, and we'll see you in the next one.